Hi, my name's Wyatt Fuller, and this is my grandma,
Hello.
and this is the interview. All right. How old were you in the 1960s?
I was in my 20s.
All right. Where were you living?
Here in Hinsdale, Illinois.
What were you doing at the time?
I had 4 children in my 20s, so I was busy raising my children and doing housework, that kind of thing.
Did you ever see or hear Dr. King speak live on TV?
Yes, I heard Dr. King speak many times on television, and I do remember his speech, I Have a Dream.
Were you moved?
I don't remember that I was moved. I think I was too busy in my own life, but I certainly understood the concept about what he was trying to get done in our country as far as civil rights is concerned.
Did you know anyone who was drafted to Vietnam?
Yes.
Who?
His name is Kenny Boston.
What was your relationship with him?
We went to high school together.
What was your stance on the Vietnam War issue? Were you pro-war or not?
I was pro-war at the beginning. I agreed with them that if we didn't take care of Vietnam, there would be the domino effect where communism would spread across the other countries. But then after a few years, I realized that wasn't necessarily the case, and I wasn't, an activist, but I thought war was wrong, like I think now in Afghanistan and Iraq. It's a waste of our manpower.
Were you pleased with the government at this time, like their decisions, why or whatnot?
No, I don't remember I was happy with the government because of the war, and also they were drafting. If you were in college or had an important job for the government, you did not have to go to war. So that consequently only the poor kids and the black kids were going to Vietnam and having to participate in that. Did you know that?
No.
Like my brother, I love my brother, but man, when the Vietnam War was coming, wow, he was in college just that quick. But he could afford to do it, whereas poor people and blacks couldn't. So I was disappointed in the government.
Which assassination of the 1960s was most memorable to you? Which?
Definitely John F. Kennedy.
Why?
Well, for one thing, he was the president. And people are murdering our president, the head of our government. I mean, what awful thing could happen? Even if you didn't like John Kennedy, even though I did, he was still the president. It just, to me, that was a terrible thing to happen to the country. And then there was Bobby Kennedy, his brother, who was assassinated. He was running for president. And then, of course, Dr. King.
What was your stance on civil rights?
Civil rights, or even like the women's movement, I was for equality for all. And I did not understand why people had such a prejudice against blacks or any kind of minority. I didn't understand it. So I was for civil rights.
Did you like Dr. King? Why or why not?
I can't really comment on that. Why? Because I was so busy with my family. I understood his position. And I'll tell you one thing I did like and support about Dr. King was the fact that his movement was accomplished with no violence. The white people were violent against the blacks, but Dr. King's stance was there will be no violence as long as I'm in charge, and there never was. And I thought that position was the best. I think that's how he got the job done.
Yeah. Where were you when Kennedy was shot? What do you remember about it?
Grandpa and I were having lunch in our kitchen, and we heard it over the radio. And then about an hour later, they announced he was dead. And your Aunt Paula was 6 months old.
What do you remember about the riots in Chicago with the Martin Luther King assassination?
Yeah,
and the
1968. I guess even though I was against the Democrats and what they were doing, I didn't think these people should be being that violent in the street. And I was disappointed in the kids for doing it that way. I would have preferred to see them do it like Dr. King did.
Were you a Nixon supporter? Why or why not?
I guess that was so long ago. I guess I was indifferent. I don't remember why, to tell you the truth. I just know that it's glad when I'm out of office.
How did you feel about the sit-in protests in the South?
Can you give me an example?
They would just sit in a spot.
Oh, you mean like in a
public area? They would
Oh,
just sit
yeah. Not, there again, making their point, but nonviolent. Fine. They weren't hurting anybody.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about the Malcolm X assassination?
No, but I remember that he was sort of a violent man, wasn't he? I think he was a troublemaker. I don't remember that I liked him very well. I'm ready. What's the next one?
What did you like about John F. Kennedy?
Well, for one thing, he was young, and he was vibrant, and he was out to get things done in the country, and he just brought a new era to our country. It made it just more lively, and I don't know, Jackie Kennedy and John Kennedy and that great big huge Kennedy family was just great, I thought. But politics, he was a little more liberal than I am, but I thought he did a good job for the short time he was there. Was that your question? What was your question again?
No, I ran out of questions. I'm just making them up.
Oh, okay.
How did you feel about the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Oh, I was a junior in high school, and I was scared to death. I was a senior in high. No, I was a junior in high school. I was scared to death that there was going to be a nuclear war, and we were just scared for a whole week. And he was away at school, and I was sure we were all going to die. But there again, John Kennedy did play his cards right. He bluffed Nikita Khrushchev.
Do you remember the Lee Harvey Oswald? Did you watch that on television?
It just so happened that, of course, everybody knows when that happened that weekend watched all weekend everything. So when Lee Harvey Oswald came and shot Lee Harvey Oswald, he was shot by Jack Ruby. I'm sorry, I got a little confused. Yeah. Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald live on television. Yes, I remember it well. It was shocking. I don't think something like that would happen today.
No.
So, Wyatt, are you studying the decade, that 10 year?
Yeah,
10 years?
From like the mid-1950s to early 1970s.
Okay, 1950s. Does that sound like a long time ago to you?
Yeah.
Do I sound really old?
I mean, it's not that bad. Do you know anyone else who was drafted to Vietnam?
No, I don't.
What did... Wait.
Go ahead.
What was the Watergate scandal about?
Well, Richard Nixon was in office, and in my opinion, Richard Nixon was very paranoid, and he was so afraid of losing the election that they set up these men to go in and break into the Democratic National Convention office and break into their files to see what kind of things they were up to, so that he could be ahead of the game.
Do you think Nixon was guilty?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, actually. That's my opinion, of course.
Yeah. What would you think would have happened to Nixon if he hadn't resigned?
Well, he probably. Oh, you mean even if the public knew about it?
Yeah.
Oh, he would have lost. People didn't like him, and they started calling him Tricky Dick Nixon, because I thought he was crooked. No, I think he would have lost.
Right.
Otherwise, he probably would have ran again. What'd he have to lose? If he thought he could win, you know?
Yeah.
But he knew it was over for him.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you,
Nice
Wyatt.
talking to you.
Nice talking to you,
Grandma.
too, in school.